Very good afternoon to all of those who are joining me live. I'm Neha. Amid rising tensions at the line of actual control and the standoff still continuing, Indian Army stocked up all the essential supplies, including food, clothing and fuel. Brigadier Rakesh, in fact, while speaking with the media, stated that several depots have been stocked up for the coming winter. We send our supplies for the forward troops. This fuel oil lubricant depot is the largest and highest depot. The fuel sent from here is used to keep the troops warm in cold weather conditions, quote unquote. Now, with this, the Indian Army has clearly sent out a message that we are fully ready for the harsh winter months and to deal with any situation perhaps that may arise following the standoff with China. On the other side, Major General Arvind Kumar, Chief of Staff 14 Corps, also stated that each officer, in fact, JCO Jawan is given the best quality ration, which is highly nutritional and high calorific value as well. He said, and I quote, "Our logistic infrastructure is so smartly built that any formation coming from outside in plug and play mode can join the units here seamlessly and be effective. Today, each Jawan deputed at the front line has state-of-the-art winter clothing and tentage." That's what he said. Do remember that the Ladakh region witnesses temperature below 0 degrees. On the other side, Rahul Gandhi, if you all remember, a few days ago had also questioned different foods being served to Jawans and officers at the border, to which the Chief of Defence Staff had responded by saying, "Soldiers are mostly from rural background and they prefer desi ghee, while officers may opt for cheese." Now, to understand more about how the Indian Army will deal with the harsh winter on Pakistan one side and on the China on the other, I have with me Air Marshal B.K. Murli, who joins me live. Many thanks, Air Marshal, first of all, for speaking to us. Now, do tell our viewers what's the situation the Indian Army has to face, especially during winter months, and how difficult is the winter going to make it for us to deal with the enemy, and how prepared is the Indian Army for the winter months really?
Good afternoon, Neha. Winter months in the East Ladakh, or for that matter, even in the northern Ladakh area, is going to be grueling. Ordinary mortals really cannot survive there whatsoever. The temperatures actually go sub-zero, and then it is difficult even to move, let alone actually pick up the weapons and then fire at the enemy. Even though the winter months are extremely harsh, where the visibility reduces drastically, and then there is what is known as a whiteout. That means you see white all around, and then you lose track of time and also the sense. This is known as a whiteout condition. But the soldiers are trained for such contingencies. But all said and done, winter months are going to be very harsh, and then particularly when we have occupied the ridge line along the south bank of Pangong Lake, maintaining that and then keeping it intact is going to be even difficult.
Right.
In normal circumstances, a soldier is not allowed to stay in such conditions for more than 6 months. Once he spent 6 months in such conditions, he is actually brought back to the base camp, and then he is replaced by another soldier who is actually well trained. So the tenure is about 6 months, exactly like it happens in the Saltoro range in Siachen. But actually, the survival of the soldiers in such areas, in such a hostile weather condition, is going to be difficult, not only for our side, even for Chinese side. But China, it appears, have taken full precautions, and then they have built permanent infrastructure. And we are also, I think, well prepared for a long haul. And then with all the winter stocking done in terms of food, clothing, and also the weapons.
Right. Air Marshal, China, although has assured several times that status quo will be maintained, it refused to budge from the positions they've intruded, as known to all. With the winter fast approaching, can China be expected to maintain status quo, or would they take advantage of the situation?
They are sure to take advantage of the situation. In fact, if the reports are to be believed, they have moved about 50 battalions in the north and south of the Pangong Lake. Each battalion consisting about 1,000 soldiers, that comes to 50,000 soldiers. This is probably the largest build-up anywhere. And then we have actually mirrored our, our requirement. That means we have also matched the Chinese PLA on the southern and the northern side to meet with any contingencies. And then, during the winter months, it is going to be extremely difficult actually to, fight a war. Yeah, but then all said and done, Chinese will definitely take advantage. Particularly, they are today they can actually come through the Spangur Gap or maybe the Rechinla, which they did in 1962. But winter months are going to be extremely difficult for them too, because what now looks like a normal road will be covered with snow, and then trotting in that snow during
Right.
peak winter is going to be extremely difficult, and the movement also gets retarded quite a lot.
Right.
So under such circumstances, it is not very difficult for our army, which is maintaining vantage points, to pick them off. So they also know the danger that lies ahead during the winter months. But all said and done, they are actually testing our patience, and they are playing a psychological warfare. They just want Indians to get scared and withdraw, and then give away our land to the
Well, we are
Chinese.
not the ones who
But
get scared. We scare. Also, Air Marshal,
yeah.
we have sent out a clear message that in fact it was the Chinese side which broke the peace deal, and China has been doing vice versa. Their mouthpiece, for example, Global Times, of course, also giving us threats of grave repercussions. Is China in any way in the position of making demands?
China is not in a position to not in a position to make any demands whatsoever. Anywhere probably along the LOC, along the line of actual control, perceived line of actual control, and China is very good at playing psychological warfare. They think that by positioning massive troops along the border, they can scare India into submission. And also, the Global Times, which is the mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party, has been coming out with articles one after the other, where they say that India will be punished, and then China is militarily and technologically superior, and then they have the air power which is much more advanced than the Indian air power. Such things have been appearing at regular intervals in the Global Times. But then, we have to take this all this in the appropriate sense. We know very well that whatever Global Times says, it's all tutored by the Chinese Communist Party.
True.
But the ground situation is extremely, totally different. And then today we match the aggression of the PLA and the PLA Air Force on the ground and also in the air. And our soldiers and our air warriors are quite skilled, and then they are well trained, and then the equipment, the wherewithal is also very robust and strong to take on the adversary. So the China should not live in a fool's paradise, thinking that they will force us into some submission. And then just to tell you, Neha, in another 48 hours, probably the sixth meeting will take place between the commanders.
Yes.
And today's, if it is, the news is to be believed as in today, a few hours ago, China has not responded to our request for the sixth commanders conference, commanders meeting at the Chushul or Moldo, as the case may be. But then, if they do respond, then probably it will be the sixth meeting.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Air Marshal, but China was the one, one country which was adamant on talks. So why do you think all of a sudden they are giving this impression that we are no longer interested in either diplomatic or military level talks?
No, after the talks between the External Affairs Minister and his counterpart on the sidelines of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, some kind of interest was generated, and then there was a wishful thinking that probably China will come to the negotiating table and probably take part in discussions, and then the disengagement could take place. I mean, this is all, just thoughts in somebody's mind. But then on the ground realities, we know very well China is not going, even if they actually enter into an agreement, they are going to break it tomorrow. They have betrayed us
True.
a number of times and they will continue to do so. Even the army itself does not really believe in the talks between the commanders. But all said and done, such a talk has to take place if a solution is to be found through dialogue and through the diplomatic means, and hence these talks. But actually, in my own perception, nothing is going to really come out of these talks.
So,
And then
is there any possibility of a two-front war, Air Marshal?
Yes, that looks like a very strong possibility from what we have been hearing in the last 2 days. Particularly, Pakistan has been extremely active in the northern region. To 3,100 ceasefire violations and 250 cross-border firing is really not mean. In fact, they have actually created a record in the last 17 years for maximum number of ceasefire violations this year. And then we know very well that Pakistan is being supported by China. And, there is a possibility that probably the Pakistan may get pushed into this conflict either inadvertently or probably as a partner. So, two-front, war is a reality if it really happens. And then now our commanders, particularly the CDS and the Chief of the Army Staff, have very clearly said that they are prepared. And then all along, CDS has been, General Rawat has been talking about a two-front war. It could become a reality, but then if it becomes a reality, we are quite capable of taking on the adversary in the east as well as in the west.
Right. Thank you so very much, Air Marshal, for joining us with all of those important insights. Well, Indian Army is fully ready for the harsh winter as well as for the long haul in Ladakh as well. Thank you so very much for joining me on the Facebook page of Newsline. If at all you like this video, do not forget to subscribe Newsline YouTube, like us on Newsline Instagram, Facebook as well as Twitter. Take care of yourself. Stay safe.